down from the cross, and we will believe him. He trusted in God, let him deliver him now, if he will have him, for he said, I am the Son of God. The thieves also, which were crucified with him, cast the same in his teeth. Now from the 6th hour there was darkness over all the land unto the 9th hour. And about the 9th hour Jesus cried with a loud voice, saying, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani? That is to say, my God, why hast thou forsaken me?
The number of the sons of God. How a scrap of skin resolves a Bible chronology mistake. In the biblical book of Genesis, the prophet Moses summarized the history of 70 Near Eastern nations. Genesis chapter 10 lists 70 clans that descended from Noah and his sons. Genesis chapter 11 recounts how that God scattered the clans, which became 70 nations. Genesis chapter 12 reveals how, about 100 years later, God promised to bless all the nations through Abraham's descendants, the Israelites. In the biblical book of Deuteronomy, the prophet Moses summarized in a poem how that God had apportioned land to 70 non-Israelite nations. Standard Bible translations read, When the Most High gave to the nations their inheritance, when he divided mankind, he fixed the borders of the peoples according to the number of the sons of Israel. For nearly 2 millennia, scholars have been aware that the ancient Greek translations of Deuteronomy 32:8 read a little differently. Whereas the oldest Masoretic Hebrew manuscripts read, the sons of Israel, all Greek manuscripts read either sons of God or angels of God.
So, Ashley, how much money has your online course business made this month?
It's made $40,000.
According to the Masoretic text, that's the Jewish Bible in Hebrew, Deuteronomy chapter 32 verse 8 reads, very, very traditionally, according to the children of Israel, according to the number of the children of Israel, or the sons of Israel. So here is the text in Hebrew. Here's
the Bethlehem's from the Galilean Bethlehem to the Judean Bethlehem. And they manipulated the whole story. But they had one reason, is just to save themselves from being persecuted and to convince the Jews that Jesus is the Messiah that you have been waiting for. So out of the Jews became Christians for them, and some of the Jews became Christians at the time, and even those were persecuted by the Jews themselves. So the idea is that, and Theos, that's why we find in the Gospel of Bartholomew and the Gospel of James a different Jesus. Maryam assuming the purple robe. In the Gospel of Bartholomew, she got the Annunciation in the temple, and the priest who appeared to her performed the ritual of bread and wine. This is all Phoenician, Canaanite Phoenician.
You mentioned Maldushi before. The actual story of Maldushi, as I was told when I visited the place, was that Mary stayed there because she was not allowed into Sidon because it was a Phoenician city. As a Jew, she was not allowed to enter that city as a Jewish woman. That's the story that was told to me. As far as Phoenician, the southernmost Phoenician border kingdom is Akko, not Nazareth, not Jerusalem. The Phoenician domain ended in Akko, began in Arad. That was sort of the border of the Phoenician, the base of the Phoenician Empire.
The grotto of Magdusha is actually the grotto of the waiting, where Lady Miriam used to wait She's there waiting for her son to return from his missionaries. It's not because she's not allowed to enter Sidon, but because she is there on the top of a place so secure that Jesus can come, because that was a place for a spiritual reunion at the time. So this is your idea. This is your approach of the idea. I have a different approach, and the approach I'm saying is different from your approach. That doesn't mean that I'm wrong or you're right, you know? So we're debating. But this actually, when I said when I went to the patriarch and he said, I know Mugharet Magdushi, Lebanese. I know Mugharet Magdushi. It is where Maryam can tutor Masih. And he was so happy about it. He didn't say that, she does not because she was refused inside or no. He said that I accept this fact. Now, the second question?
Phoenicia, the main borders of Phoenicia didn't really...
Yeah, the main border of Phoenicia, it expanded, and it at a certain moment of time, it was from Ugarit, from Arwad, from Ugarit, to the Irish, to Irish Masr, to the what do we say?
Alexandria?
Al-Arish, to the Arish of Egypt, the land of Canaan. The land of Canaan. Maybe you are trying to tell me that the Canaanites were not Phoenicians or the Phoenicians were not Canaanites? No, they are the same. This is the land of
Yeah. All right. Don't. Whatever. That's enough. Whatever. Oh, thanks. Gracious. That's just stupid. I can't. Not now. Not later. Not ever. That's just. Don't wait. That's amazing. Such adventures. Don't. What a dumb joke. That's a.
Brother, I love you to death, but you got to get this idea out of your head that the KJV is perfect and that nothing could ever be tampered with in the Bible, because simply, it's not true. God gave us free will, which means people can alter things and make choices. Did God preserve his word? Yes. Does that mean the Bible that you read from is perfect? No. And I'll prove it. But first we need to know how God works. In Deuteronomy 19, he said, "One witness is not good enough. On the evidence of 2 or 3 witnesses shall a charge be established." Jesus says the same thing in Matthew 18. Every charge may be established by the evidence of 2 or 3 witnesses. And then Paul in 2 Corinthians 13, "For every charge must be established by the evidence of 2 or 3 witnesses." This is significant because God left us witnesses for his word. Almost every mainstream Bible translation comes from the Masoretic text. Well, there's an issue with this because the Masoretic text was written by anti-Christian Jews nearly 1,000 years after Christ walked the earth. Now, to prove my point, let's compare the genealogies in 3 of the main Bible translations. The Masoretic, which is where we get the KJV and all our main Bible translations, then the Septuagint, and the Samaritan. Now, if you look in this column, it's the begetting age in the Masoretic text in Genesis. Now, let's check it out. Shelah, 30 years when he begot Eber, 34 years when he begot Peleg, and 30 when he begot Ru, 32. Now, let's look at the begetting age in the Septuagint. If you notice, it's 100 years added onto each of these. Not 30, 100, 132, 130. They're off by 100 years from the Masoretic text. Now, if we look at the Samaritan, it is the exact same as the Septuagint. It is off 100 years from the Masoretic text. There are 2 witnesses right here that the Masoretic text has been corrupted. Now, this may not seem like a big deal, but if you add all these extra ages into the genealogies, it changes the timeline by 650 years. And if we go off the Masoretic text timeline, this would allow Shem to be alive at the same time as Abraham. Which may not seem like a big deal to you and I, but this is what the Jews used to refute the book of Hebrews. They say Shem was actually Melchizedek, meaning that Abraham inherited it from Shem, and Jesus could never be a high priest in the order of Melchizedek. But if we use the timelines from the Septuagint and the Samaritan, this means that Shem died 500 years before Abraham was alive. Furthermore, for a third witness, the writings of Flavius Josephus match the Septuagint and the Samaritan. And just so you guys can see it for yourself, here is a Septuagint and a KJV. Genesis 11:14 in the Septuagint, "And Salah lived 135 years and he begot Heber." Same verse in the KJV, "And Salah lived 35 years and begot Eber." Satan runs this world, and it stands to reason he'd make the corrupted Bible the mainstream copy.
The reason that advances in the study of Greek is important.
You heard the phrase that Jesus was a Jew and simply accepted it uncritically? What if you learned that it's historically more accurate to say that Jesus was a Judean? He was a Hebrew, an Israelite who lived in ancient Judea. It's inaccurate to say Jesus was a Jew because it creates misunderstandings about Jesus and other Judeans of that era, and it is an anachronistic translation of Hebrew and Greek words that are probably best translated as Judean, the ethnicity of people from Judea, not as a practitioner of the religion Judaism. More importantly, Jesus did not practice Judaism. What we call Judaism is shorthand for Rabbinic Judaism. We know this because Judaism, or the Hebrew Greek words for the religion of the Jews, does not appear in earlier Christian writings where you'd expect it, like the Gospels, or the New Testament book Hebrews, or by early church fathers like Melito or Justin Martyr or Clement of Alexandria. Judaism came into use by 3rd and 4th century Christians in polemics against Jews for the purpose of comparison with the Christian religious system. This usage was pioneered by Tertullian, then Origen and Eusebius, Augustine, and by the 5th century, Judaism was regulated by Roman law code. The ancient Judeans around the time of Jesus did not have a word for their religion, partly because religion itself was not a category. They were an ethnos with laws and customs, but not a Judaism. Let me emphasize that my view here is based on academic research. See the sources via the link tree in my bio. Now, not all Judeans were alike. You could be a Sadducee associated with the temple and the priests, an Essene or a Hellenistic Judean, or a Pharisee. They had different customs and beliefs. In which Judean group would you place Jesus?
offered sacrifice unto the Lord God of Israel, even 12 bullocks for all Israel, 80 rams, 60 lambs, goats for a peace offering, 12, all of them a sacrifice to the Lord. And they delivered the king's commandments unto the king's stewards and to the governors of Seleucia and Phoenice, and they honored the people and the temple of God. Now when these things were done, the rulers came unto me and said, The nation of Israel, the princes, the priests, and Levites have not put away from them the strange people of the land, nor the pollutions of the Gentiles, to wit, of the Canaanites, Hittites, Perizzites, Jebusites, and the Moabites, Egyptians, and Edomites, for both
Look at it. Everybody can see the ancient Phoenician and ancient Hebrew? Well, Phoenician and ancient Hebrew? Look at it. It is identical.
Yeah, they're very close.
Huh?
Yeah, they're very close. Like, I only see a few things. I don't know if those 3 dots are letters too, but that's about the only thing I see missing.
Yeah. Yeah. So ancient Hebrew, which is Paleo-Hebrew, and Phoenician, and ancient Greek are the exact same language. Phoenician, ancient Hebrew. Yeah, that's what the cosmos. Yes, that's what the cosmos L. Yes. Now we're gonna get deeper.
But these are actual letters come from the ancient Moabite. They come from, these are the Latin letters. These are Latin. And these Latin letters are the descendants of Roman letters. And these Roman letters go back to what letters? What's before Romans? European-wise. Greeks. So it goes back to the Greek. Now that we're on the Greek subject, let's get back to this E. Why is it turned around? Well, guess what? If you turn all of these letters around right here, just flip them. If you flip them around like that, guess what? That's your original Greek alphabet. All you have to do is just turn them around. It's the Ionian script. And then back to George G. M. James, it tells you the Ionians were the first to be civilized, right? So, if you take this Moabite script and just flip them, you have your ancient Greek alphabet. Do the research if you don't believe. A word that's borrowed from Greek or a word that's borrowed from Hebrew that comes all the way down, you can, if you know this script, you can have an inner understanding of it. It's just like if we talked about eggs, right? We know egg is an egg, of course, but it also represents fertility, right? So we know that a word can have more than one meaning. And we know that represents fertility because over time it's come down and it's been explained to us, yeah, eggs, fertility, and we can see the science, right? But see, when you know this right here, you're looking all the way back. This is a a stargate or a doorway all the way back to that original phonetic sound, what it meant. Do you understand how deep that is? So if it's a word that comes all the way from
Here is really the book of the IS8S. In it there states that Emmanuel is the name of the Messiah. The Essenes who believed in the loving God, the Canaanite El. The book of Issachar is really the book of the IS8S. In it there states that Emmanuel is the name of the Messiah. The Essenes who believed in the loving God, the Canaanite El. The book of Issachar is really the book of the IS8S. In it there states that Emmanuel is the name of the Messiah.